This is FE Peer Review. The date is July the 26th, 2022. Dr. John D. ignores the weather. Taboo conspiracy plays along. The suggestion for this video came from one of my viewers, Peter, who left a comment and link on my most recent video. Thank you, Peter, for the idea. It's a link to a video by Taboo Conspiracy, which includes long-distance observation footage by Dr. John D. and another by J. Tolan video. I am going to treat them in two separate video responses, and in this video is about Dr. John D. I'll come out with one about J. Tolan hopefully in the next few days. I did drop by Taboo Conspiracy's video and left him a comment to let him know what I'm doing. Refraction is real. I have on my channel a video called Atmospheric Refraction and Long-Distance Observations, Final Statement. It provides links to a dozen scientific papers and manuals that provide massive amounts of information on atmospheric refraction. These are things like manuals from the US military and design guides from the telecommunications industry. They cover the visible and the radio spectra. If people want to claim atmospheric refraction either doesn't need to consider or that it normally causes sinking rather than lifting, they need to do the following. 1. Demonstrate that they understand the science used in all those papers. 2. Refute the science used in all those papers. 3. Provide an alternative hypothesis accounting for measured natural phenomena. 4. Demonstrate the validity of their hypothesis by comparison to measured natural phenomena. 5. Get their work through peer review and published. 6. Get the various groups, such as the telecommunications industry and the US military, to adopt their alternative refraction hypothesis. Until they've done all that, they haven't got a leg to stand on. So I will provide a link to that video of mine in the description, and I will also put one in the upper right corner of this video. I am not going to dwell on the details of how refraction works. I'm just going to say, Taboo Conspiracy, Dr. John D. and J. Tolan Media, it cannot be ignored. You have to face that it is the accepted science. If you disagree with it, you have to disprove it before going on with your long-distance observations. Otherwise, you've put the cart before the horse. It's as simple as that. Now we will move into Dr. John D.'s observation. Dr. John D. gave us a video. He was at the Worthing Sailing Club, set himself up right at the edge of the water, looked off towards the southwest, past Selsey to the Isle of Wight. He gave us his elevation, approximately 1 meter above the water. He gave us the distance to Selsey and the distance to the Isle of Wight. I didn't notice in his video that he gave us any elevations, but they're easy enough to come by on Google. The date, by the way, is the 18th of July, and it was done at 10 to 9 in the evening. The observation was done at 10 to 9 in the evening. He gave us a few landmarks that I was able to pick out. This is the Worthing Sailing Club with a row of bathhouses in front of it. I'm just going to click through these. We don't have to go through it in every detail. In the distance here, we see the Isle of Wight. And in the darker section on the right, we see Selsey. Taboo Conspiracy makes a claim in his video that we are seeing all of Selsey right down to the waterline. I don't know on what basis he makes that claim. There's nothing in the quality of these images which makes them good enough to make a claim like that. Let me back up just a little bit. There's a bit of mirage that I want you guys to see at the start of this. We are over at the far left of his observation, so what we are seeing is the southern section of the Isle of Wight just appearing in the distance. And this, the way the land wraps around and the light color of the sky seems to come underneath it, suggests that we are getting a bit of miraging happening, a small amount of it happening in a narrow band where the land and the water are meeting. So we can't really establish an actual horizon line. It would be somewhere obscured by that mirage. Watch this piece of land here. You can see, I don't know if you got a glimpse of that. I'll back up just a little bit. You can see what's going on with that spit of land out there, that there's indeed some mirage happening. Another thing I want you all to notice is a large amount of heat shimmering happening in the imagery. You'll see that even in the closer objects, such as this little object in the water here. There's a certain amount of shimmer, but then there's a great deal more shimmer happening from the objects in the distance. Turns out that's rather important. And here we see the first glimpse of Celsi. Taboo Conspiracy says we're seeing it right down to the water line, and we're seeing a horizon. I think he used the word horizon, or we're seeing the water going beyond Celsi. I think that's absurd. I've watched this many times, and all I see is a few pixels of dark against some pixels of gray, and I can't tell what's mirage, what's water, what's land. There's certainly no indication of any kind of white caps or anything of water, of waves hitting rocks at the far end of Celsi or anything like that. So there's no evidence in this that we're actually seeing it right down to the water. We're seeing a lot of fuzz. Lots of shimmer, lots of heat shimmer going on. It's 10 minutes to 9 in the evening. The sun is the sun has set, and we are seeing the dark side of Celsi. We are also seeing dark here, which could well be a reflection on the water. So where I've got the mouse now is not the shoreline, and that's not all what we're seeing there is Celsi. Some of this is reflection, at least appears to be reflection of the dark land mass on the water's surface. So how much of this land mass are we actually seeing, and where does the water start and the land stop? There is really no way to determine from this image. Now, granted, I will say we are indeed seeing Celsi, and we did indeed see the Isle of Wight, and we're going to take a look at what that means in terms of earth curvature and refraction. We'll look at that momentarily. The Celsi landmass rises to about 8 meters above the water at its southern end, and then as we are seeing it here, it drops down to a kind of estuary that's just above sea level, 2 meters or so. That's what we're seeing here. And then it will start to rise up again, and we will see a building showing up right here. I've identified that as a building at Bognor Regis. We'll take a look at the map in a moment. So that's really so far the only identifiable landmark we've seen from Isle of Wight to this point. All we're getting is a little bit of land mass reflected in the water with no indication of where a horizon line might be, and lots of shimmering. Notice all that shimmering. Now we're seeing the houses at Worthing, and even though they're quite close to the viewpoint, we're still getting lots of shimmering as close as they are. I'm just going to let it run for a moment here, and you can see how much of that there is. Look at all of that. That got me wondering. That was the first thing that got me wondering what was going on in this video, something a little bit odd. All right, and then he shows us the Worthing Sailing Club, gets us well oriented as to our location. That's the bulk of what we need to look at in the video. I'm going to show you some things on Google Earth. Here's the Worthing Sailing Club. He gave us a good view up here to identify the location. Over here is the house with the round windows. That's where we were looking at all of that intense shimmering, and that's a pretty short distance. Let's take a measure there. That's just 2.5 kilometers. Just over that short distance, we were seeing a lot of atmospheric disturbance. This is the tall structure at Bognor Regis, which is the one that I think we were seeing in his video. It's the first one, it's the first tall building you see when you're panning, as he did from Isle of Wight in this direction. We saw Isle of Wight, then we saw the shore of Selsey, and then the tower at Bognor Regis. Okay, he gave us some dimensions, he gave us some distances, and we can get some heights. I've got a landmass rising to 207 meters here at the Isle of Wight, and dropping down. It's about 7 to 8 meters at the high point in Selsey. Let's see what the Walter Bislin curve calculator tells us about some of these distances and heights. Here we are at the curve calculator. I've put in an observer height of 1 meter. I've got a target distance of 28.1 kilometers. That's the distance to Selsey. And a target size of 8 meters. That's the highest point of the landmass on Selsey. And I've got standard refraction input for the moment. Visible 0, hidden 38 meters. So with standard refraction, a target of 8 meters, 38 meters hidden, that means that it would be 30 meters below the water line. I looked at that and thought, interesting. What else was going on that day? And I remembered that last week we had the highest temperatures ever recorded in the UK. I thought, oh yeah, I wonder if that might have had an effect on this observation, the highest temperatures ever recorded. One would think that perhaps the highest temperatures ever recorded might make a difference. So I went and took a look on the AccuWeather website. They have the temperatures going back as well as forward, and I looked at July 2022, the 18th of July, 35 Celsius. The next day was 35 as well. There you go, massive high temperatures at the Isle of Wight. These were the temperatures at the Isle of Wight. I just picked that because it was easy to remember and type in. I expect the temperature at Worthing was probably similar, given that they're fairly close. And both on the channel. So we've got 35 degree Celsius air temperature in the mid-afternoon. It's now 8:50 in the evening. Temperature's still hot, although it's gone down a little bit. The water, on the other hand, is probably still pretty cool because these high temperatures, haven't really heated the water up all that much. I did want to find a water temperature for that day. I didn't find a resource that gave me this actual water temperature for a specific day. What I did find was sea temperature info, which gives me an average water temperature for that location on that day. And for the past several years, it seems to average at about 18 C. So I'm going to conclude, lacking any other information, that the water temperature was somewhere around 18 C. The air temperature was probably put close to 35, which means we had a massive air temperature gradient over that cool water, which could lead to much higher than normal refraction. Does it? What happens when we push the refraction level up? Well, let's see. We've got hidden 38, hidden 20, 15, hidden 9, 8. Here we go. Now we can start to see something visible, 2.3. Visible 2.9, we'll call that 3 meters. And we are in an extreme refraction area, but we're not topped out. There's still room for more. Refraction conditions have exceeded this in the past in places. So what do we find under extreme refraction conditions that might be expected to occur on the hottest day ever recorded in the UK? Well, looks like we have a pretty good chance of seeing Selsey, as we did. And I think that the large amounts of heat shimmer that we are seeing in this video attest to the extreme atmospheric conditions. So that was Celsius. We saw that indeed with extreme refraction conditions, which are certainly plausible on the hottest day ever recorded, it is possible we might see Celsius from Worthing. Okay, well, we have a coefficient of 0.8292. What would we be seeing, if anything, of the Isle of Wight under that same, with that same coefficient? Our distance was 63 kilometers away. Actually, it was slightly more than that. Let me double check that number. Oh, no, 63 kilometers. It was 63 kilometers away, and the high point that I found in the immediate vicinity was 208 meters. That was, looking at Google Earth, 207 meters. I'm looking, you can't see it on the screen here, it's cut off, but I'm looking down here. Yeah, 2728, 210. We could get our hands on a topo map, we could refine it, but it's about 208 meters. We'll put in 208. And we've got our refraction. It's set to the same coefficient that we just used for Celsius, and we do see a considerable amount of the Isle of Wight. Visible 168 meters, hidden 39.6. So there you go. The results are consistent between both land masses, given an extreme refraction condition on the hottest day ever recorded. So Dr. John D., you went out there on the hottest day ever recorded in the UK. You did a video under these extreme conditions, and then you never breathed a word about atmospheric refraction in your video. Why is that? It strikes me as being utterly dishonest. You went and picked the most extreme conditions possible and then pretended that everything was just normal. That's not how science is done.